Rockin' Royal, rockin' Navy, know y'all with me, let's get it, baby, Rockin' Royal, rockin' Navy, know you with me, let's get it, baby. Boys just came back from their mission, we going crazy.
Welcome back to another episode of the KSL.com Rockin' Royal podcast, your podcast for all those who rock the Y the right way. BYU fans, both hardcores, low cores, and everything in between. I'm Sean Walker, KSL.com BYU and college sports beat writer, here for a Friday news dump edition of the podcast. And that's right, we got some breaking news that came down earlier Friday afternoon, right around 2:30 local time. That's in God's time zone, the Mountain Time Zone, here in the great state of Utah. Somewhat expected, but now it is officially official, as they say. BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff plans to withdraw from the university effective basically immediately. He wrote on Instagram, this was shortly after news first broke from ESPN's Pete Thamel and a couple of other sources. Retzlaff confirmed it himself with a post where he wrote, quote, "BYU has meant more to me than just football. It's been a place of growth, spiritually, mentally, and physically. I'm grateful for every teammate, coach, staff member, and fan who supported me along the way. The relationships and memories I've made in Provo will always be a part of me. That said, I'm excited to turn the page and embrace the next chapter. My journey is far from over, and I'm more motivated than ever to keep chasing my goals." So, long speculated, often reported through sources and the like, and now it is official from the mouth, or rather the Instagram account, I guess, of Jake Retzlaff. QB1 in Provo will officially move on for his final season of eligibility. Jake did walk at graduation in April to get his degree in exercise and wellness. He was just about done with that degree, I've been told. I'm not entirely certain where he stands, but if he's not finished, he's all but finished with his degree, with his bachelor's degree from BYU. I think he only had like one class that he had left. It's pretty common for a lot of students, not just athletes, to walk when they still have enough classes in spring or summer term. And Jake was no different there. He did plan on play out his collegiate eligibility this fall for the Cougars, who will now face a quarterback competition heading into fall camp. That competition obviously will be between McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, and true freshman Bear Bachmeyer, who just recently got there after going through spring ball at Stanford. Credit to BYU. BYU did also release a statement about the change and the move, Jake's decision to withdraw from the university and transfer for his final year. They haven't said anything since back in May when news first broke of a civil lawsuit that was filed in Utah's 3rd District Court by a Salt Lake woman who alleged sexual assault by Retzlaff in her visit to his Provo area apartment. Retzlaff denied every allegation in a 14-page response. He included text messages that showed flirty and friendly banter, as he put it, between the two, and then they didn't touch base during the entire 2024 season, before the lawsuit was filed. So he claimed it was an extortion attempt and based off of a, quote, pleasant and entirely consensual evening together. BYU has since released a statement saying they're grateful for the time Jake Retzlaff has spent at BYU. As he moves forward, BYU Athletics understands and respects Jake's decision to withdraw from BYU, and we wish him all the best as he enters the next phase of his career. So, as far as BYU is concerned, this matter is over. There were reports of a multi-game suspension. I verified some of them over at KSL.com. There was going to be some kind of punitive suspension for Retzlaff for violation of the school's honor code, which prohibits, among other things, premarital sex and sex outside the bonds of marriage between a man and a woman. Some reports had that up to 7 games. Obviously, Retzlaff won't be going through that anymore by withdrawing from the university and moving on for his playing career. So that is all over right there. As far as the civil lawsuit, it has been dropped with prejudice, meaning it can't be refiled again. No details have emerged so far on whether or not there were terms of a settlement, but none were accorded or afforded in court to that settlement. It has simply been dismissed by both parties, with both parties retaining their own respective legal fees as well. So from a legal perspective, this matter is closed, it is sealed, it is done. From an honor code perspective, it now should be done because Jake Retzlaff is no longer a student of Brigham Young University. And from a BYU football perspective, the next move is moving on to determine who the starting quarterback will be August 31st, I believe is the date, in that season opener against Portland State, and then into the 2025 season as well. Like I mentioned before, McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, the incumbent backups right there that will compete, along with true freshman Bear Bachmeyer, the former four-star recruit from Murrieta, California, as well. For Retzlaff, by withdrawing from the university, he can go and enroll at another school without the use of the NCAA transfer portal. I know that seems a little bit weird to college sports fans, college football fans, who have been used to the transfer portal since 2018. But remember just a couple months ago, the case of former Wisconsin defensive back Xavier Lucas, who withdrew from school with the Badgers in December, and then he enrolled at Miami as a student and technically walked on to the football team. I think he eventually received a scholarship, but he walked on to the football team at Miami. The NCAA at the time said, quote, NCAA rules do not prevent a student athlete from unenrolling from an institution, enrolling at a new institution, and competing immediately. The Badgers have since launched a lawsuit against Miami, alleging there was impermissible contact with the cornerback who never entered the portal. Lucas's camp says they requested for him to go into the portal, but Wisconsin never did so, which would have been a violation of NCAA policy. I don't know how codified that policy was, but typical NCAA policy is compliance departments put a name into the portal within 2 business days. They have up to 2 business days or 48 hours to do so once an athlete notifies them of their intent to transfer. According to Lucas and his camp, that never happened. Wisconsin says it didn't happen because he had already signed a lucrative NIL or revenue sharing partnership. Excuse me, I had to get the 2 words right. Lucrative revenue sharing partnership that, according to CBS Sports, was one of the highest revenue sharing agreements on the team. So that matter is in court right now. A little bit different from Jake Retzlaff's matter, obviously, with BYU. This withdrawal, dismissal, decision to leave BYU and go somewhere else, by all accounts, seems pretty mutual between the two sides for reasons related mostly to the honor code and so forth. So I can't imagine there's any bad blood or that kind of a thing there. But by not entering the NCAA transfer portal, Jake Retzlaff may be affording his right, I guess, quote unquote, to receive an athletic scholarship or granted aid from his next university, which means he would enroll as a walk-on. Now, obviously, you and I know as well as I do that there are lucrative NIL packages out there making the value of a scholarship not necessarily negligible, but it can be made up for. So the chances are the cleanest scenario is for Retzlaff to enroll wherever his next stop is as a walk-on athlete and then compete for the starting quarterback job right there. There have been a number of names that have kind of been speculated and tossed out in terms of Retzlaff's next destination. We don't know for sure. He hasn't revealed any schools where he might be interested in going, but you can probably assume, and I think it's safe to assume, it'll be a spot where Retzlaff can compete for the starting quarterback position right away. He's only got 1 season of eligibility left. That does not include a redshirt. He has already redshirted this year. So he's probably not going to want to sit and wait around to get his start at the next job. The Deseret News reported a couple weeks ago that he's had, quote, multiple high major or Power 4 conference interest for his services. And again, a ton of names have been speculated. I won't go into all of them, but there are obviously some very notable schools within the Power 4 conference structure or ecosystem that don't have their starting quarterback set up. Colorado's one of them, actually. Now that I think about it, we just barely got back from Big 12 football media days where Deion Sanders admitted that there is a strong competition still between Caden Salters, the Liberty transfer, and Juju Williams, the 4-star freshman, former USC commit, who's now been in Boulder. I'm not sure Colorado would be the right fit for Jake Retzlaff, but that is a case where the starting quarterback job hasn't been decided. Maybe Jake Retzlaff tries to cast his hat into the ring there. Again, I'm not throwing Colorado out there, but that's just one example. The example of a type of school where I think Retzlaff could go. I know Tennessee has been mentioned. Obviously, the Nico Iamaleava ordeal where the Southern California native transferred to UCLA in a very public show of NIL disagreement. That's been tossed about. Notre Dame has been another common speculation as they look to move on from the Riley Leonard era as well. I think there are a number of schools where Retzlaff could go and could play right away. Maybe a couple in the Big 12, but I would probably look towards non-Big 12 targets before that. I probably would if I were Jake, just because you want this to kind of wrap up as clean as possible. So stay tuned. That's the latest on Jake Retzlaff on BYU. He has officially notified BYU of his intent to withdraw from the university. He will transfer, according to ESPN and other sources, without utilizing the NCAA transfer portal and head to, quote, the next chapter of his college football career. For more, we'll keep an eye on it over at KSL.com. Head on over there. It's free, I promise. Also, if you don't mind, if you like getting this in podcast format, go check out Rock and Royal Podcast. Search it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. We're on YouTube as well. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a rating and review if you can. Help us grow a little bit. I promise it's free. We're not going to spam you. There's no subscription fees or anything like that. But we would really appreciate a like, a subscribe, and maybe even a review to help us kind of spread the word as we get closer to football season this fall. Training camp just a couple weeks away as we sit on this Friday News Dump edition of the podcast, Friday, July 11th. This has been the KSL.com Rock and Royal Podcast, saying so long and thanks for all the fish.
Rockin' Navy, rockin' Royal, rock your hands. Rockabye babies, rock the stands with the fans. If you with us, raise your hands. Rockabye baby, rockin' Navy. Shout out to my teams, wives and babies. Rockin' Royal, rockin' Navy. Know you with me? Let's get it, baby. Rockin' Royal, rockin' Navy. Know you with me? Let's get it, baby. We gon'